What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Tea with Tea, spooky tea with tea at that. Before we get into it, like the video, leave anything in the comments, and make sure you are subscribed so you can be notified when I post. Now, this segment is not just all ghosts, glitches, and paranormal. If you've had any strange occurrence or creepy encounter, email it to spookytyt@gmail.com if you're interested in me reading your story and getting it out there. As you can see from the title below, this one is about love spells, because y'all know this is the season of love right now. And people do crazy things. Stay prayed up and stay protected. You don't never know who's trying to put that on you. So, without further ado, sit back, relax, get your little snacks, turn the light off, get your cover, get comfortable, and tune in for this tea. So I know that love spells are a common topic within the witchcraft community. Let me just start out by saying that when I got into witchcraft, love spells were a big deal for me. I had always heard about the risk of love spells through other witches, but I never really took it too serious. In fact, I had actually performed lesser love spells. Actually, they were more so attraction spells rather than a love spell, I should say. However, one day I was just fed up with how my life was feeling, and I decided to cast a love spell on a guy that I had been friends with for a while. It was a very, very dumb decision, I know. And in the end, this would entail obsession. At first, of course, nothing happened. But as the weeks went on, we began to grow closer and closer, me and this friend. This eventually transpired into a relationship. Eventually, it turned into an obsession that I had never seen nor experienced before. After a few weeks is when I really began to realize that this behavior was because of the love spell that I had put on this person, which initially I thought didn't even work. The consistent stalking and obsessive behavior had gotten out of control, so much so that I had to contact a friend that I had made years ago in the witchcraft community to help me try to break this. So when we got down to it, I was told in order to break the spell, it would be extremely painful for me, and I would most likely need to involve the person whom I put the spell on. So after months of going through extreme mental and verbal abuse, I had finally casted this spell to break the love spell. And over time, I did realize his obsession with me began to decline, so much so to the point now we're at no contact. After the breakup, we have not spoken since. That experience really scared me. I don't even know if I'm wording all of this correctly and making it understandable so you can grasp the situation. I honestly just wanted to share my experience. I was always kind of slightly skeptical of witchcraft, but after this experience, I'm more careful with the spells that I make and the intentions that I put behind them. I always see this topic come up a lot, especially about love spells. They're more dangerous than you think. I really wanted to warn anyone who is thinking about placing a love spell on someone. Love spells have severe consequences. Love spells can also lead to obsessive behavior. You have no control over the love spell once it's put on that person, and they're very hard to break. Consider doing an attraction spell instead. Attraction spells are a lot safer in my opinion. That's how they ended it. I'm not playing with no love spell. Playing with love spells is like playing with your life, because you never know how someone is you never know how that's gonna go. That can be very dangerous. That could turn into an abusive relationship. That's how we get a lot of them Snapped episodes. Y'all be watching Snapped? Because they done snapped. They don't have their free will. Somebody took their free will and put a spell on them. No. So my ex called me randomly yesterday, and she said, you know, when we broke up, my mom put a love spell on you. And I asked her what she meant. All she said was, I put a love spell on you. I tried to ruin your confidence. I tried to make you confused so you could feel what I felt. When she said that, I asked, are you okay? She said, don't worry. My mom told me to tell you because she died recently. And she put the love spell on you because I lied to her and I told her that you were abusing me because I was bitter about the breakup. She told me her mom actually loved me and didn't want to do it. Well, long story short, I'm tripping. My mind is boggled. I didn't know what to think of it. And I don't know if this is a coincidence or not, but after the breakup, I have felt very lost, very confused, and my confidence has been very down for a few years. And at first I didn't believe her, but then I remembered a story she told me while we were dating. See, her brother used to get bullied, and it was so severe that her brother ended up having depression. Well, let's just say her grandma is from the Caribbean and she practices voodoo. 2 weeks later, the kid that was bullying her brother dies. He died in a robbery gone wrong. The boy was only 16. Now, I don't know if the spell has since been broken, but I still haven't been feeling like myself. See, y'all gotta do y'all background on the people y'all date. Cause if you knew her people did voodoo and they was from the islands and you still decided to break her heart, cause I feel like you know what kind of person you dating. So you know that your person is spiteful. I'm sure they've had or shown spiteful tendencies throughout the relationship. I don't know how you didn't see that coming. Not that it's right, but boy, I would have seen that coming from a mile away. People are crazy. And when they feel like their heart is broken, boy, they will throw something at you. That's why you gotta stay spiritually protected. Oh my God. I'm gonna try to keep this short and sweet. I need a little help on some shit that's been happening currently. Long story short, I took all my supplies to my best friend's house. And by supplies, I mean anything that you would need to do a love spell. So I took them over to my best friend's house and we made a love spell jar. And the day after we did it, their love life had become a disaster. I do feel like somewhere along the way, we did mess up on this love spell. We ended up contacting a pro and she told us that doing the love spell was a mistake. It was an intrusion on someone else's free will. It messes with the natural cycle of things, which apparently we are not allowed to do. She told us the love spell jar would need to be undone. She gave us all the ingredients for a hefty fee along with the spell to undo it. We put nothing but positive intentions behind undoing the love spell. Beforehand this time, I did make sure to perform a protection spell. The ingredients needed wasn't nothing risky. It was just basil, vanilla, sugar, Himalayan salt, rose petals, cinnamon, and a bay leaf. You then write the person's name on it and the spell to undo the love spell jar. After that, you seal it all with red candle wax. Leave the jar for a few days and then you need to perform a cord cutting ceremony. After experiencing this, I do feel like a love spell is never worth it. The steps you have to take to undo something that you should have never done is very time consuming, and if done wrong, you could come out with worse results than before. Witchcraft and love spells is nothing to play with. I don't recommend playing with anyone's free will in general. Love spells and witchcraft is a dangerous thing to tamper with. You think? No, you should never mess with anyone's free will. That can turn so dangerous. I've never done a love spell on someone exactly, but I do dabble in witchcraft. And I have performed a manifestation spell, which I think is a lot safer than a love spell. It doesn't play with anyone's free will. So, I did the spell to bring me my soulmate. It's all about the intention you put behind the spell. A few weeks later, I met this guy and we were immediately drawn to each other, but he was married. So a couple years go by and he got divorced. He sought me out and we were together for over a decade. But that's until he met a new younger woman at his gym that he left me for. I thought we were perfect together. I thought that we were soulmates, but I guess he felt different. It's like he turned into a different person overnight, and the guy I love completely disappeared. And I still feel in spite of everything he's done, I do love the person that he was when I was with him. And I do still love him. He doesn't deserve me, but I can't help it. I wonder if I did something wrong with that spell, or if he just wasn't the right guy. Another thing that crosses my mind is if she enticed him with magic as well. I think she's a witch. If you know, you know. Witches can spot other witches. I've been doing everything witchy to get over him, and every time I think I've gotten over the hump and making progress, something happens that draws up my feelings for him again. Sometimes I wonder if my spell backfired and I ended up spelling myself, and maybe that's why I can't get over him. Throughout the years, I've done literally 100 cleanses, and I cannot seem to shake the love that I have for him. I don't think I'll ever stop loving him. Girl, now I've heard of spells backfiring and going back to the person who did it, return to sender. People can return to sender, so maybe his new girl did a little return to sender on him, and it went right on back to you. Girl, y'all gotta watch out. Stuff will come back to you. Whatever you put out, you gonna get back. Sometimes worse. Girl, that you gonna love that man for the rest of your life. I feel bad. I feel bad. I made a love spell jar for my boyfriend. The gist of the love spell was to make our love stronger. Nothing was wrong in our relationship. We were actually perfect. So after I made the love spell jar, he broke up with me a couple of months later. And I could not get over him. I'm still not over him to this day. Now granted, it's been years and I'm not in love with him anymore, but he's still stuck in my head all the time. And in my opinion, I partly blame the jar. See, that's another return to sender. That's another return to sender spell. Look. Y'all gotta stop. It ain't never that deep, boo. You talking about y'all was perfect and you went ahead and did this little spell. Why? Hello? Why couldn't you just be perfect and happy? Girl, now you love that man for the rest of your life. Can y'all stop? Can y'all stop? Do a love spell on yourself so he can love you for the rest of your life. Girl. Well, this is embarrassing and I never thought that I would be writing this in. When I was a teenager, just starting out in witchcraft, I charmed an apple pie with a love spell from a popular incantation book within the witchcraft community. And I gave it to the guy that I was interested in. So when I dropped it off, he told me he wasn't hungry at the time and he would eat it later. Fine, that's cool. Then 2 days later go by and I receive a call from his younger brother. The younger brother started pursuing me relentlessly with sexual advances. As it turns out, the younger brother had eaten the apple pie. The guy who I was interested in had a severe allergy to it and he wasn't trying to be rude, so he accepted the pie and gave it to his brother. Now, I was not interested in the younger brother, not in the slightest, but he would not take no for an answer. He was obsessed. He would show up at my job, he would show up at my home, professing his love for me. It took a few years and a powerful banishing spell. With that, I did a purification and a protection spell on me to get rid of him. Lesson learned. I don't play with witchcraft like that anymore. That was my first and last love spell. I threw that incantation book in the garbage. I do believe when you set intentions behind a spell and they're strong enough, that spell will work. However, playing with dark magic like love spells have severe consequences. He became obsessed with me, stalking me and finding out where I lived at. I could see his obsessive behavior turning dangerous, and I knew I had to do what I had to do. Since putting the banishing spell on him, he has not reached out. It's been about 3 years now. Y'all, I'm gonna keep saying the same thing over and over. Stop trying to play with people's free will, because the same thing that happened with their little brother was gonna happen with the guy that she liked. It was gonna get weird. It was gonna get obsessive, and it could have got dangerous. When I was a lot younger, I did a love spell involving blood. Looking back, it was fueled by my insecurities and my core wounds. And oh boy, did it work. But it wasn't based in actual love. It was a binding spell, and it ended up hurting me more in the end. It is now running its course as it's been a few years. I'm continuing to cut cords as they come along the way. I've learned a lot since doing this spell. I will never play with a love spell ever again. I have learned to truly respect the magic. I have come a long way. And now when I perform any type of spell, it comes from a place of love, not pain. It's even worse when you're younger, because I feel like when you're younger, you don't know how to control your emotions. And doing a love spell involving blood seems very dark. So I hope you're doing okay. Just don't ever play again, girl or boy. A few years ago, when I first got into witchcraft, I asked my friend for some help about learning about magic. She lent me a book with a few simple spells in it. I was super interested in the book and in the craft as a whole, but I was also very skeptical. Anyway, around this time, I was seeing a guy, maybe for about a month or so. I really liked him, but he ended up leaving me. And what do you know? In this book, it just happened to be a love spell. So I thought I would give it a try. What's the worst that could happen, I thought. So the spell called for something personal that came from the person, i.e. nail clippings, hair, toothbrush, or any type of bodily fluid. So because we had just broken up, the last time he hung out at my place, he cut himself. He wiped his blood with tissue and threw it in the garbage in my room. I still had it. So of course I used that for the spell. I followed all the instructions carefully. After I got done, I disposed of everything. A little while went by and nothing happened. So I decided that the whole spell was BS. A few weeks go by and he randomly calls me, begging to get back together. At this point, I was already pretty much over the relationship, and I was sure the love spell had failed. I was moving on with my life. And you should have let him move on with his. However, this dude would not leave me alone. He became almost obsessed. I would block him and he would end up making new profiles, fake profiles, adding me to social media and messaging me, calling me from fake numbers, even emailing me. Eventually, I told him, look, this is harassment and I'm going to the police. Now, this was quite a few years ago. He still tries to contact me every now and then, always telling me how much he loves me, cares for me, and wants to get back with me. So either this guy is a real creep or the spell actually worked. Girl, not you calling him a creep after you done sent something his way using blood. Magic. The audacity. People will really have the audacity. You talking about he harassing you and he a real creep. Y'all, please stop playing with me. In the end, I do feel like the spell backfired in many ways. And unfortunately, I'm experiencing some of the other effects of the spell. I literally cannot find love. I've been in many short-term relationships, but they always end the same way. I always end up getting dumped after a few short weeks or a month max. And the thing is, I never know why. It's also confusing because I'm always the one getting pursued. The person is always more into me than I am into them, but they end up dumping me shortly after. The main reason I realized it could have been a spell is because a few of my friends are witches. They practice pretty much all of their lives. They used to joke and say it straight up sounds like somebody cursed you, girl. I let a full year go by, suffering, not able to find anyone. My dating life was in shambles. I told one of my witch friends about it and she told me to tell her step by step everything that I had done so we could reverse it. Because love spells are not a joke. And they usually backfire when the spell was made out of selfishness, and the consequence is usually more severe. We ended up doing a spell to reverse it. Although I think it helped a little, I don't think it was fully reversed. Since this experience, I haven't had a person who was fully interested in me for longer than 1 month. And they usually end up losing interest for no apparent reason at all. My witch friend also informed me she has never experienced anything using blood magic. She says I'm lucky that I'm not any worse off. Blood magic is very dark and nothing to be played with. After months and months of trying to reverse the spell to no avail, my friend ended up telling me she did not want to be involved any longer. Because when a spell backfires, it backfires on anyone around. I'm in a bad place and I'm pretty desperate. I wish I never done the spell and I regret it deeply. I didn't know what I was doing at the time. So I guess the question is, how do I reverse it if there's even a way? I'm hoping to get answers. Can somebody please help me? I'm miserable and I would do anything to change this. Girl. Y'all gonna stop playing with that blood magic. That's a different type of magic. And you lucky that all you is miserable. Because it could be way worse. And girl, and I'm sure it's not even that bad. Like, it do sound like a little curse. It do sound like you put a little curse on yourself unintentionally. Girl. Unfortunately, that is the last of the stories. It was much harder trying to find these love spell stories than I thought. I don't know if people don't do them or if people just not putting themselves on blast like, hey girl, I did a love spell, look at me. I'm crazy. But it was very, very hard coming up with I don't know how many of these stories. I think it's about 6. And I'm sorry, I wish the video could be longer, but if y'all have any crazy, strange experiences, it don't necessarily have to be a love spell, glitch in the matrix, or anything spooky, just something strange. Girl, was you followed home? Did somebody try to talk to you at the gas station and gave you bad vibes and then you found out that this, that, and the third happened? Send it in, y'all. Send it in. Anything, okay? And if you like these type of videos, give it a thumbs up. Leave anything in the comments. Make sure you are subscribed. I will be posting if y'all send some stuff in, okay? All right. You already know the vibes. I love y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I'm going to see y'all in the next one. Bye. Cut that. Bullied. Y'all be careful out here. I do feel like somewhere along the leg. Bitch, which cut courting ceremonies? Oh Lord, fuck that. So, excuse me. I have learned to truly I have learned to, and because the last time we hung out, he cut himself and wait, what? He wiped the blood up with tissue.